And welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. It's your host, Rob, a.k.a. B-Ball Archives. And once again, the bums are with me, AJ, Adam. What the hell's going on? Spurs won tonight. How you feeling about it?
Ooh,
Adam, how you feeling about it?
Big win. We needed that just to kind of get back on track a little bit, get our confidence back. Teetering on that below 500 has kind of been a stressful start and stretch over the last few games for us, but big win, climbed back to 500, and we're right in the thick of it for that play-in kind of positioning.
Big win, but scary win. It was a really weird game all around. The injury bug started to hit us early in the first half. We saw Wemby take a crazy fall, scared me half to death. Zach Collins took a fall. He went out. Keldon Johnson took a fall. I mean, all of a sudden we started falling like flies. It was pretty wild to see that, and a little concerning, but it was good to see Jeremy Sohan on the floor again with his stupid green hair.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Sohan had the best plus-minus tonight. Whenever we look at his ability to just affect the game all over the place, like he's just really, really good, and we're better when he's out there. But honestly, this game was definitely all about Wemby. There was moments late in the fourth where we were kind of teetering. We went down 1-2 points. Wemby hits a big three, put us up 1. He hits multiple big free throws to really seal the game, put us up 4, put us up 5. And those are really big-time moments. And to see your young superstar player step up, even though it's against a paltry Pelicans team, you want to see him step up like that and get the win. So it's really nice seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really cool to see. It was also his first game back after a couple games. So it was really nice to see him kind of back at it. Shout out to Chris Paul, second all-time leader in assists, only behind the great John Stockton. So shout out to Chris Paul. He got his moment in the limelight. So that was really cool to see. And, he's only going to add more because he dropped 10. I think he dropped 10 tonight.
Yep, 10.
That. So it was really cool. And then obviously Harrison Barnes is always going to be your consistent veteran. And we really needed this win, kind of going back to Adam's point, because those last couple games have been really rough without Wemby.
Yeah, that loss to Chicago really hurt.
Really hurt.
You play a good Phoenix team in a tough environment. You're not always going to come away with that win, regardless of who you are. But to go and lose to Chicago like that, we were looking at tonight and we're like, well, do we lose our fourth straight and go 2 games down, or do we rebound kind of like we have all year? And we really answered the bell. And to Rob's point, I think Wemby, not only offensively did he hit a couple big threes, he hit that runner 3 off 1 foot. That was insane. He hit another big one late. That was big. But he also just dominated the defensive side. He closed out possessions with rebounds. He contested everything, played physically. He did what a top 10 MVP candidate is supposed to do at 20 years old, and it was impressive and huge just for the entire team vibe right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And speaking of defense, like you were bringing up, Charles Bassey, massive for the defense tonight. Absolute force down low, 4 blocks, 11 rebounds. And to see him just be really efficient, 16 points, and it barely feels like he takes any shots. He'll have a putback here or there, but we're really not posting him up. We're really not looking for him to score on his own. It's either pick and roll situations or just little dump offs to him as he's cutting to the basket. So to see him score efficiently, get rebounds, rack up blocks, that's exactly why he's on the court, and he's looking really good. And if we're missing Zach Collins for a significant chunk of time, so be it, because Bassey looks way, way better.
He kind of reminds me of Bobby Portis, but without a jump shot. Like, he's just a guy that's going to come in. He's going to be scrappy. By, the second minute, he's running back and forth up and down the court. His shirt's going to be out of his shorts. He's going to have an untucked shirt the entire time. He just looks like a guy that's going to come in and do all the garbage man work. Grab rebounds, kick it out. grab rebounds, do a putback, take a charge, make a block. He's just really fun to watch. And we also need to talk a little bit about Steph Castle too.
Yeah.
That dude is. If you would have told me we're going to get this guy and he's going to look this good this early in the season, I would have been like, you're taking crazy pills. Because, he also took over the game, too. When we needed a bucket, he was there when we needed him the most. When we needed a stop, he was right there. So, great overall win. A little shaky, but we'll take it.
Back to Charles Bassey a little bit. And, Castle made some plays tonight that he makes going to the basket look easy at times and is able to just finish effortlessly. But regarding Charles Bassey, is this potential injury to Zach Collins a bonus for us? I feel like at this point, our organization is keeping him above in just the lineups because of the contract that they've paid him. I feel like Bassey's in his play over the last couple of weeks has earned that second lineup, and maybe this just fast tracks it. I don't know. When Collins comes in the game, we get weak defensively on the inside, and Bassey's able to compete for offensive rebounds, keep possessions alive, and just be way more aggressive. And I feel like that's something that really needs to be talked about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that this is going to be a moment where the Spurs front office has a true snapshot in time where we can analyze the team without Collins, with Bassey in the lineup, and it's going to be really night and day as to who's more effective. Because when we look at the last 6 games, Zach Collins is averaging about 10 minutes a game, 11 minutes a game, a couple of points, a couple of rebounds. He was shooting well at the beginning of the season. Now he's only hitting about 33% of his threes. He really isn't playing that well. And when you bring up all of his defensive woes, it creates a player that you really can't play. And there's just so much about his game that I don't really like. He plays 18 minutes less than Wemby and averages more fouls per game than he does. It's how do you bring so many negatives on both offense and defense and you expect to carve out minutes within this young, promising rotation? It's just not going to happen.
Well, yeah, then the cherry on top is he flipped off a ref and got fined $35,000. So I guarantee you when Senor Fleece saw that, he was like, guess who's getting moved soon? And I can see us getting a second round in 2065 for Zach Collins.
Well, I think next year's the last year in his contract, so maybe he's somebody that there's a team out there that wants an expiring contract and we go make a move because, he is long gone after next year. That's for sure. That was a very, very bad signing looking back at it, the $17 million or so he gets a year.
But can you believe he I can't wrap my head around a Spurs player giving a middle finger to a referee during a game, in just out, not just he was trying to hide it one of these, but just straight up just flicked him off. That's so classless. It drives me insane, and I'm surprised he's even a Spur at this point.
It's not the Spurs way. It's never been the Spurs way. That's not how we get technicals. We get technicals laughing from the bench, okay? That is how Spurs players get technicals, okay?
But Zach Collins is always fucking getting in some type of scrum, whether it be some extracurriculars after the play or a shoving match. He always fucking puts his nose in it. And now he's putting his nose in it with an official and giving him the bird. So good job, Zach Collins. Maybe you fell a little harder, and we get to see more Charles Bassey over the next little bit.
It helps that we have Sohan back, too. So now, we don't really need Zach Collins to make up for those minutes because we got Sohan back. So hopefully that's why he was getting a lot of minutes. So we'll see what this injury does and what it is and how long he's out. But, dude, you can't do that. You can't give the middle finger to a referee in the Spurs arena. You're so stupid. And
he didn't even get suspended. Players are getting away with more. The fact that I don't think Fred VanVleet got suspended for going off on the official the other day, going around cussing him out, getting in their face. I guess players are getting a little bit more leeway after the fact.
Well, I think what the league is looking to do is they're just looking to find the players more. I think the league really doesn't want the players off the court, taking them away from the product. I think they would rather just find them, take more of the players' money, put it back into the revenue stream. Yeah, it's like, so I can kind of see where they're going with it from this perspective, but I mean, I think you're just going to see more and more ways for the league to start fining or giving little fees to the players.
I mean, yeah, that don't come after my money. So I think it could be effective. Maybe we won't be flipping officials off as much.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. I agree with it when you kind of zoom out a little bit.
So what? Okay, let's hypothetically speaking, if we were to try to move Zach Collins this year, is there someone or some team out there that would be even interested in Zach Collins, or just the idea of an expiring contract? Like, I'm trying to think of a team that is trying to like get rid of some people.
Well, the Lakers want a center, but I don't think whenever teams are like thinking about, oh man, I want to go get a center, they're envisioning a Zach Collins. Like, I think that this is one that we're going to be eating, and the only way somebody's going to actually trade for him is like we're giving away maybe a second round pick or something for someone to take him on, and he is going to be an expiring contract. So like that's his value, an expiring contract, and maybe somebody can get some compensation on top of that because we're having to eat that fucking shit. That was a terrible contract for Collins.
Because at some point, like, we got to look at our second unit and our third unit, and just we got to upgrade those parts. Our starting five is fantastic. We have to upgrade our bench, and we have to upgrade people if we're going to make a run. Even if we're just going to make the playoffs or a play-in game, we gotta do something just to make us more competitive for whenever Wemby goes out, whether it's just on the bench or it's for a few games. When he's not there, we are so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just like the Nuggets, it's hard to like, you lose your peripheral all-star style player. It's hard. Some teams just can't survive that. You look at Memphis and what they were with and out Jaw. But I do think, honestly, I don't think our second unit's that bad, especially if we went to Bassie. I mean, it's hard to know what our true second unit really is because we're still putting Vassell on the bench. Like, we haven't even eased Sohan fully back into the starting lineup. I think we don't really know what our lineup is, and part of that's because if we play who we're supposed to play, who we started with to begin the year, I think we're a little bit light on outside shooting. With like the Sohan lineup with rest of the guys that we started to begin.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, without Victor, we completely lose identity, and I know that when we're starting small ball lineups with Sohan at the center, it's nice to see Sohan out there, but obviously that does not work. So, like, no. I would like to see a lineup that we can put out there that doesn't have Victor. Maybe that is Bassie. Maybe that's somebody else that we bring in later on. But we will have to have a lineup that can go out there and get a win if we don't have Victor. I'm not saying we need to have a great team without him, but we need to at least be able to put out a serviceable unit.
Who is it?
Riley Minix.
Who is it that we beat? I feel like we won 2 games without him. We went on a 2-1. We went 2-1 without him over a 3-game stretch earlier in the year. But it's been a struggle over this last few game stretch, and it was very big to have him back, and he came back in a big way too.
The last 2 games with the Bulls and the Kings, I mean, you can't give up 140 points. Like that's just absolutely ridiculous. It was really, really tough to watch. It felt like watching the past few seasons of just guys just giving up essentially, and Chris Paul trying to rah-rah his way into a I guess serviceable loss. But it's nice to have everyone back. Let's hope we can get everyone back, because I would love to see this team at full strength come January.
Well, yeah, we just don't have the freedom to be missing our superstars and still have a team that can compete with a decent squad. Like, we were always going to get pieced up by a team like the Kings. It's just really tough to see Jeremy Sohan in our small ball five, playing our small ball five, going up against Domantas Sabonis, and Sabonis just shoving him out of the lane and then just dunking. And it's like that's just a recipe for disaster. But it's obviously it's amazing to see Victor back in the lineup, but man, we need Victor to play at least 65, 70 games if we're going to be a successful ball club.
And we're going to need CP3 to continue to stay healthy, because I don't think he's really missed much at all. Well, guys, let's think about and take a snapshot of where we are right now. We're 24 games into the year. We're 12-12. Are we happy with our current situation? We're currently 11th in the West. We're half a game behind Phoenix and LA, 1 game behind Denver, a game behind Minnesota. We're right in the thick of it for that play-in spot. How would y'all evaluate our start to the year so far?
Overall, I mean, I think you got to be happy with it. I mean, if you were to tell me at the beginning of this season that we're going to be playing 500 basketball right on the edge of the play-in, I would say, okay, that's about expectations, if not a little bit above expectations. You know, I'm not hating that one bit. I just really, really hope that we don't rest on our laurels and say, hey, we beat some good teams. Whenever we face them later on, that's how it's going to be. I want to continue to take our success, what we've done so far, and take it up a notch. We have a couple of easy games coming up. 2 of our next 4 games, we're playing the Trailblazers. I would like us to see get a couple of wins there, and I really think that we're in a position to where maybe we could be 4th, 5th, 6th at the end of the next week.
4th, 5th, or 6th in the Western Conference?
Yeah, not at the end of this upcoming week, but the following week, so in a couple weeks.
Well, let's look. Yeah, you said we do play Portland twice over the next 4 games.
76ers, we can wax them.
We can wax.
We play at home against the Hawks, who have been playing well. We play against the Timberwolves at home. We play the Knicks on the road. That's going to be a tough one, but there are... all of those games are winnable, really. The Knicks game is going to be tough, but
It's going to be a fun one.
if we can carve out, if we can go 3-1 over those next 4, we'll, probably be in that 9 or that 10 seed, which is right where you kind of need to be. Ultimately, the Western Conference is just so stacked, and that's why the discussion of just going to eliminating conferences and just seeding 1 through 16 is sounding really nice right about now, because we're having to play tougher regular season, we get a better record, and then we're not in it. Like but it is what it is. That's how it's always been.
It's gonna. It also, like, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season we're gonna be 12-12 and the majority of our games are against the Western Conference, I would have taken that all day, like all day, every day. And now that we're starting to play a lot more East teams, I think we definitely have a shot. I think Rob. It's a stretch, but it's not unreasonable for us to be in the middle of the pack in the West with that come towards the end of the month. So let's kind of see what happens. Let's see how we do. I am very excited, and I think we're going to record again before the Knicks game, because that Knicks game I cannot wait for. I am so excited for Wemby at MSG Part 2. Part 1 did not go very well, so we got to see if Wemby's going to come back at the Mecca and go off. If Wemby has 79 points, dude, we are here. So
let's pump the brakes on 79. How'd you come up with that number there?
Because he shoots 30 3-pointers a game.
Let's look at the Western Conference. Right now, you've got the top 4 seeds are pretty standout-ish at this point. I think Houston's really looked good. Dallas is on a tear right now. Memphis and Oklahoma City. But after that, you've got a 14-10 Clippers team that I think most would bet on sizzling off a little bit. Minnesota's not looked the same. Denver's there. Those are a lot of good teams. Who do you think out of Phoenix, the Lakers, Denver, and Minnesota we would be most likely to bounce from the top 10?
Lakers.
I mean, yeah, I am looking at the Lakers, but I don't know. To me, the Nuggets have been shaky as well. Even though they got a good win tonight. I'm trying to remember who they beat tonight, but Jokic dropped 56, and they ended up losing to the Wizards just yesterday. So whenever I look at it through that lens, it's almost like that team has to damn near play perfect, and Jokic has to play really well in order for things to happen. And honestly, I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but I'll bring it up right now. Jamal Murray has been one of my disappointments of the season. He has not looked good at all. This is his worst field goal percentage since his rookie season. He's shooting 42% this year. He shot 40% his rookie season. His worst three-point shooting percentage of his entire career so far. His lowest points per game since 2017. And it really looks like Jokic needs that second superstar more than ever. Even though Jokic is putting up ungodly stats, they're still losing to teams like the Wizards. It's just like he needs Jamal Murray out there playing better. And, you know, all health things aside, when he's out there, he needs to be doing better.
Well, this is something that I think AJ mentioned on our last episode. Is like there was, or you might have mentioned it, there were signs of guys who didn't play well in the Olympics that have transitioned over to this year that have really flopped. Jamal Murray being one of those. Obviously, Joel Embiid and his health being another. You look at Kawhi Leonard, who was playing for USA and then bounced and hasn't played in a game all year. There's some bad voodoo with some of that, and it's tough to see, really. And I look at this West, and I think that the Lakers are probably the team that we would have to beat. It's scary being there and seeing Sacramento being behind you and knowing that you're going to have to fend them off, and you're going to have to take the Lakers or the Clippers. This is a gauntlet of a West that I'm not looking forward to having to go through. But it's exciting that we're in the conversation for it.
Dude, but the Lakers have not looked good for the past week. And it's starting. I think Father Time might be catching up to LeBron James. I mean, he's looked great for the first few games, but this last week he looked gassed. He looked old. Anthony Davis is nowhere to be found to help him out. Their squad is so top heavy that they need every bit of every single role player to do their part. And if anyone misses it, they're screwed. JJ Redick can only coach so much, but they're on an L3 and they do not look good at all. And they're getting their ass kicked. They scored 80 points in the game. 80 points in 2024.
Why have they always looked good this year whenever they've played us?
I mean, I honestly have no idea. I think because we really have trouble kind of stopping a lot of back cuts. They do a lot of really, really good back cuts. I honestly have no idea, but it looks like Anthony Davis's body language has kind of changed a little bit. Almost looks like he's kind of shut down whenever I've watched Lakers games recently.
It also is just like transitioning to the winter, and he's a brittle old man. So he could just be experiencing just like bone pain, you know? You never know.
Yeah.
Well, it's bad when Austin Reeves is talking shit about your tequila. He was like, it smells like Lobos. And
tell me more about
Anthony
this.
Davis. So they're doing a press conference, and Austin Reeves made a comment about LeBron James's tequila and how it doesn't smell good or it's not very good. And Anthony Davis is like, "Hey, I'm an investor," and he was like, "Doesn't mean it tastes good."
Yeah.
I wonder what
I'm gonna be honest.
What does Bronny think
He's
about
not
tequila? Huh?
he's not old enough to drink. Okay, that would be illegal, Adam.
Bronny's not even old enough to move out of the house.
Speaking of Bronny, Rob sent a graphic of me being awfully quiet after he went off for 14-4 or whatever he did. What was it? What was his stat line?
Excuse me. It was 16-4. It was 16-4, and it was a really inefficient 16-4. I can't remember the exact stat line, but let me see if I can pull up that graphic. It was 16-4 on 15 shots.
Well, that's
Let it rip.
yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot, and so does Bronny.
Yeah. Yep.
especially in Fortnite.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we had to sneak in a little bit of Bronny hate in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
never.
We
bad
are
with
the
quote.
baseline. We are the baseline hating brownies over here.
yeah. The Bronny is a bums.
But know who's also figured it out this year? This year in the West, and that's the Mavericks. They've been playing really well. They're on a W7. They look good. They don't look, like they've hit their wall yet. So we'll kind of see how that goes as the season progresses. But Kyrie looks great. Kyrie looks really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And since Luka came back, he looks absolutely marvelous.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I can't fault his game one bit.
Kind of looks like his calves starting to heal up a lot more now.
You know another team that's
Yeah.
playing well that we're not happy about? That's the Atlanta Hawks, who have looked really good. It's
Trey Young's been balling.
he's been balling. Dyson Daniels is just a defensive monster. Jalen Johnson's a freak and a guy that he's somebody to watch out in the NBA for the next 5 to 10 years. He's just a prototypical player nowadays. 3-and-D plus, rebounds, defends, does everything. It's crazy. I kind of saw this happening whenever they traded away DeJounte. I said, man, they're getting Daniels. There's a chance that they get better from this, almost an addition by subtraction by getting rid of DeJounte. I continue to look at him and even looked at him in tonight's game, how he just slows down the pace of the game and takes difficult shots at times. And I just don't. I think it's easy to see with how Atlanta has almost gotten better after that deal, what it kind of means for DeJounte.
It's interesting you say that, Adam. I was thinking the same thing in the fourth quarter of tonight's game when we were up by 3, and him and was it Trey Murphy? I think they were passing the ball back and forth, trying to figure out who's going to take the shot. And if DeJounte Murray would have pulled that trigger when he got the ball the first time, he had a way better look than what they got. So that's interesting you say that, because he does make the game a lot more difficult.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, if you just look at the box score, it can be really deceiving, because you look at him fill up the stat sheet and you're like, wow, this is a really great point guard. He's doing a lot of different things. But then you actually look at the pace in which you play, and that offense, it gets bogged down at times. And yeah, it's tough to be successful when he's your lead guard.
Hey, how about that?
But yeah.
By the way, how about that potential Coach of the Year candidate in Doc Rivers and those Milwaukee Bucks who have been kind of on a little bit of a tear lately, boys? What do y'all think about that?
I love it. Your take went from being absolutely laughable to where we just we just clipped it and then just roasted you, and then now it's a legitimate take. I can post it again and make you sound smart.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're 8-2 over their last 10 games. I mean, Dame's been playing better. They're just playing with more effort, I'd say, as a team. I saw Brandon Jennings getting into a big argument of defending the Bucks. He's like, they're just playing harder. They weren't playing with enough effort. And I think it was Gilbert Arenas like, you're saying it's just about effort, just about playing harder. And he's like, yeah. And it was pretty funny argument to actually listen to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, because when you have guys like Giannis and Dame, you're not worried about the skill. You're not worried about your talent from your front court or your back court. I mean, sure, do they wish they had younger guys in that rotation to kind of supplement their older talent? Absolutely, they wish they did. But I still feel like they know what they have. They know the core they can build around, and they're definitely a team that can go out there and be second, third, fourth in the East with ease.
I don't think anybody wants to see a healthy Giannis and healthy Lillard in the playoffs. That still,
No.
I feel like, would scare an opposing team. And Brook Lopez is still there. If Middleton can be healthy towards the end of the season, and they can get some type of production out of whoever it may be, a Pat Connaughton or a Turian Waller Prince or whoever they need to kind of be more competitive. But it's been a nice little turnaround for them for sure. There's another guy that just went down that really impacts the East. and that's Franz Wagner. I think is out indefinitely. What exactly was his injury again?
I need to look it up because
it's a oblique.
Same injury that Paolo actually suffered, I'm pretty sure. So his timeline is indefinite, and that's tough for a Orlando team that I think is third in the East right now. Overall record, what are they? 13-5, and just Am I looking at that right?
17-9.
17-9. I was like, that's just their conference record. Yeah, pretty brutal for them. They really need Paolo back ASAP. Without him and Franz, that's going to be asking a lot of some of those other guys to kind of step up. And that's brutal for an Orlando team.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just earlier today in the group chat I sent out the MVP ladder, and it has Franz Wagner at 7. So that just goes to show you how he was impacting winning in Orlando. So it's really, really tough to see him, suffer that injury and miss significant time, because this was a young team that a lot of people were cheering for. A lot of people were just wanting to see this young unit figure it out, and it kind of reminded them of some of the days back in the early 90s whenever you could get excited about a young duo in Orlando as some guys that they could build around. And so so to see a lot of injuries and shit hit the fan for him, it kind of it's leaving a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths.
So we've brought up the MVP ladder a couple times now. I figured it'd be a good idea to go over who we kind of have on that ladder, what y'all think, if there's anything that stands out. No surprises at the top. You've got Jokic and Giannis, two guys that have won the award more than anybody over the last several years up there. You've got Luka, you've got Shea at 4, you've got Tatum at 5. Cat has made an appearance at 6, which is big. Franz, Anthony Davis, Donovan Mitchell, and Victor Wembanyama. What stands out at all to you from that list? Anybody?
For me, it's no Ja. I think Ja should be in the discussion of MVP. I think he's had a hell of a year. Memphis sitting at second in the West, and he's putting up highlights. He said, "I'm not going to dunk anymore," and then goes and just double pumps a backward dunk. Like, Jesus Christ. So, I would say my biggest thing is Ja's not on that ladder, and I think he should be.
I think that's a really good point. What do y'all think about Cat being that high on the list, but not having Brunson anywhere in the top 10, Rob?
Well, I mean, I brought up Cat on the last episode because he was so high on the MVP ladder, and I'm going to basically say the exact same thing. I thought a lot of his numbers were going to go up because his minutes were going to go up, because it's in a Thibodeau system. Duh, everyone plays career-high minutes when you're playing for Tom Thibodeau. But he's only playing about 31, 32 minutes a game. It's not like he's playing an absurd amount of minutes. He's scoring damn near career-high points per game, career-high rebounding, career-high three-point percentage, and it really looks like he's comfortable out there within that offense. I know at times defensively he does get scored on quite a bit. That is absolutely something that New York needs to do to supplement his lack of interior protection. But I really think that he's playing such good, efficient basketball on the offensive end, and as long as it keeps contributing to wins, he's going to be up there.
He's kind of embraced that New York life up there almost too, with how animated he gets. That big dunk he had a couple games ago that was on the SportsCenter top 10. I think he's embraced that New York rise or shit or get off the pot mentality that you have to have, and he seems to have been embraced by the fan base up there as well. So I thought that was big. I'm looking at Jason Tatum and looking at just kind of looking at where he's at right now. He went into the Olympics and absolutely shat the bed. He's come out in Boston's, number 1 or number 2 in the East right now. I think that Cleveland might still be ahead of them. But
Celtics are 2.
I mean, why? Explain to me why Jason Tatum isn't higher on that list than Giannis, for example.
Giannis's counting stats are fucking ridiculous. He was Eastern Conference Player of the Week a couple weeks in a row, and he was the numbers he was putting up. It was like literally like, oh, Giannis has never put up these numbers before, and so to see those kind of statements used in a sentence with Giannis. I mean, we've seen Giannis put up monstrous stat lines before. And so it was like, oh, he's never had a week like this. And it's like, holy shit. It's like 35, 15, and 12 in a week. And it's and so to see numbers like that out of Giannis, I can see why he's still up there. And as long as it's contributing to winning basketball, that's also the key factor. Is the Bucks have gone on a winning rampage.
True.
If it wasn't for all of those wins, he wouldn't be there. If they were still shit in the bed and kind of tweedling down towards the bottom of the East, he wouldn't be there.
But it is interesting. They're both the Nuggets and Milwaukee are barely over 500. Yet you still have Giannis and Jokic as the 1 and the 2 for the MVP ladder, where you could really put a Shea or a Tatum or a Luka higher on that. I feel like I at some point I want them to give it to somebody else. I'm getting, if I had a vote, I'd be getting extreme voter fatigue by the MVP. And although I think Jokic is the best player in the NBA, I don't want to see him win the trophy again.
But it's just so hard to vote against it. I mean, he put up 48 points tonight, and he put up 56 points last game. It's like, you're voting against that?
Well, just for clarity, you and I have him on our fantasy team, and we're very Jokic friendly, and he has led us to a big 7-2 victory this week over Jabrani Hayes. And we're playing Jabrani Hayes and Bronny's photos.
Fuck Jabrani Hayes.
He's getting cooked. You're getting cooked, Jabrani.
Yeah. Yeah, but like how are you not thinking Jokic when you see performances like that? And even though he sometimes they're not getting wins. I can see why they're not getting wins. Jamal Murray's not stepping up. They got rid of their best perimeter defender and didn't replace him with anybody. And they got Westbrook, and it's like, yeah, sure, Westbrook's going to show up from time to time, but like, did you really expect him to supplement all the things you got rid of and didn't replace over the last 2 years?
I mean, you don't have to sell me on Jokic for the record.
No.
I'm like, okay, if there's ever a time to not give it to him or not give it to a Giannis is when they're like towards the middle or bottom of the playoff hunt. Like, that's a good excuse to be like, well, maybe we could give it to Tatum and like give like a fuck you to Team USA for giving him a shaft in the Olympics, or give it to Luka or give it to Shea. Like, they're a good option this year, I feel like.
Jason Tatum's not even the MVP of his own team. It's Derek White.
Also on our fantasy team and playing really nice. Our team's nice, actually.
We love Derek White. Yes, obviously. I mean, Derek White's amazing. He does all the little things you want a role player to do. That's who he is in a nutshell. But yeah, the MVP ladder is very interesting right now. I mean, there's some guys maybe that deserve to be up there, but ultimately I think there's a pretty solid list of guys up on here, including Victor Wembanyama sneaking in there at number 10. Proud to see him up on there.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, I mean, you're averaging over 20 points a game, over 10 rebounds, leading the league in blocks per game, and you're 500. You're in the thick of things in a competitive Western Conference. I think that's worthy of 10th MVP status.
Is Wemby a for sure All-Star this year, AJ?
Yes. He'll get voted. He'll for sure get voted.
He will, right? Yeah.
I think we've seen enough, and he's always on ESPN. He's always getting highlighted. I think we'll see him either, at least, I think he's going to get voted in, but I think he's going to get picked regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely makes it. I mean, the All-Star is positionless, so it's like, bigs. It's not like you're starting one center, one backup. It's just kind of like bigs and wings. So I think, whenever I look at it through that lens, Victor, in the All-Star game, you can play him out on the wing. You can play him wherever you want to.
Just like we do. Play him out on the wing.
Yeah. but honestly, like outside, like if you're thinking about like bigs in the West, like, you know, Jokic,
Anthony Davis.
And Anthony Davis, but outside of them, like who's really touching Victor?
Zach Collins.
With how good the Rockets have been playing and how good Alperen Şengün's been playing, Şengün could be an all-star, could he?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got like the best plus minus in the NBA too, or did as of like a couple games ago. Yeah, Şengün. There's so many good guys. Like Domantas Sabonis is going to get shafted probably, but he's great. I mean, there's so many good players in the West.
Thinking about Wemby in an All-Star game, though, that would be a lot of fun to watch because he's a young guy. So all the old guys are going to be like, I don't want to play more than 10 minutes. You take all the shots, young kid. And so Wemby's just going to be pulling from everywhere, dunking from like the three-point line. I mean, it's going to be great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're already seeing him pull up from one-legged threes mid-game. That's an NBA game. Imagine all-star game stuff.
I could see him being like competitive in the All-Star game, and maybe this new format will just lead to more competition from the guys participating, kind of like the in-season tournament maybe.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I would love to be surprised.
Where's the All-Star game this year?
I have no idea.
No clue.
I couldn't remember.
AJ is Googling.
Yep.
But honestly, guys, is there anyone that we're feeling like dunking on today? Do y'all feel like dunking?
I want to dunk on a lot of people.
Who do you want to dunk on?
I am going to dunk on the college football committee for making their jobs way too hard than it has to be. They did a great job. They picked a great playoff, but good Lord, you guys sound dumb sometimes. So keep your comments to yourself. Do what's right. I'm glad you picked the right teams this year, but you guys piss me off more than anything. So I'm going to dunk on the college football selection committee. I hate them.
Committee, you've been dunked on.
I'm gonna go ahead and dunk on Alamo Heights High School because Bernie just made it to the regional finals and beat Corpus Christi Miller, who absolutely boofed Alamo Heights, and it's just always a good idea and a good time to dunk on the Mules. So let's dunk on a high school.
Heights bites.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
that's hilarious. I love it. I
also want to dunk
know.
on AJ for just I don't know. I just want to dunk on him. No particular reason.
That felt like a disrespectful personal dunk right there. I don't know if I can condone that. But honestly, I was just thinking about just players that I feel like haven't been playing well this season that I just kind of want to slam on. And we were talking about guys that, had played in the Olympics that we were kind of, just kind of did okay, One of those guys, Bam Adebayo. I'm gonna talk a little Bam Adebayo. He's right now shooting very inefficiently. He's shooting 37% from inside the paint. When we're looking at 15 point per game scores, third least efficient in the NBA. He's literally never had an inefficient season quite like this. This is the least efficient he shot, even worse than his rookie season. And when I look at an Eastern Conference where it doesn't have Joel Embiid, he should be stepping up. Like, he should be one of those guys that's cementing himself as like one of these like really, all-star ready big men. And it looks like he's taking a step back. And I'm not saying Miami as a whole shits the bed consistently, but there's times where I am looking at him as like, dude, you could be that guy if you just take another step. And it looks like this whole season he's taking a step in the wrong direction. So, yeah.
He's taking a step back so Tyler Hero can take 3 steps forward. Yeah, Bam's been super inefficient. He's been playing well defensively like he always does, but he was shooting some threes during the Olympics and was having some productivity from outside, and he's really struggled just mid-range and in the paint so far this year, and really from everywhere.
I do have one more dunk, by the way. I would like to dunk on people who play pickup games and call real NBA rule type calls. Hey, man, we're on a concrete floor right now. We're not trying to call all this ticky-tack bullshit. So, hey, man, I'm going to dunk on you and your face tattoos.
And your pink shoes.
And your pink Zions.
I'm not gonna lie, like we won that second game.
Who calls established? Like, who calls that in a pickup game? Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one.
I threw a dime to Rob, and Rob put up an easy layup, and that was game. And he's like, oh, no, he didn't establish both of his feet in bounds. I don't even know if that's true if you didn't establish both of your feet.
Rob definitely did.
I absolutely did. And the funny thing is I was looking at the back of his head looking at you. And so I was like, he can't see me. And so he was like, nah, you didn't. I'm like, bro, I was watching you, not watching me. I know what you saw. You saw Adam dish me the ball on an amazing dime.
You also jumped with 2 feet because I was on the corner, and so I saw it. And I was like, oh, great pass. And Rob, 2 feet, went up with it. So we won that game. I don't care what anyone says. And I'm sure the podcast is like, what the hell are you guys talking about? So
we won.
How about Rob's flagrant foul?
It was blatant. It was
hang
blatant.
on, let's catch everyone up. After we recorded our last podcast at Adam's house, we went out and we decided to play basketball. No one told any of us we were going to do it. Cam's out there playing in jeans. I'm barely able to catch my breath at times. And we started playing. It started out as fun. It was totally fun. And then it took that little turn once we started playing people who took it way too seriously. It's like, dude, I don't care who you are. It is a afternoon before Thanksgiving. We don't need you to do all this mess.
Rob almost Draymond Jordan Poole out there.
Well, bro, I am going to bring it. If it's going to get chippy out there, if there's potential for one person to get in another person's face, if it's that kind of game, then I'm probably going to be that guy.
Yeah, you were. But it was nice.
But
it was fun.
It was fun.
But
Still
that
fun.
but that play where I knocked him over, I got ball on that play.
You did get ball.
I got body too.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And all you wanted.
He got mad at me for whatever reason.
Yeah. AJ, you're a ride or die. You started fouling too. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't foul him. I just doubled him, and he was like foul. And I was like, I didn't even touch you, dude.
That dude calls everything all the time. All right, I don't think the podcast wants to listen about men in their mid-30s losing to some 20-year-olds and almost fighting.
We didn't lose.
Yeah.
No. But hey, whenever we record in person later on in the month, we're gonna go back there and hoop. Let's do it.
And we're gonna fight them.
Yeah, we will. With our jumpers.
Yeah.
As long as I get to guard that 12-year-old again, because that was easy.
Yeah, that was a big matchup. You dominated that matchup, AJ.
Absolutely, with ease.
Motherfucker was taller than me.
But guys, this feels like a good episode. We not only talked about some Spurs, we won tonight. That's always a great feeling. We dunked on some people. You know, we talked about some pickup nonsense. It was a fun night tonight. How are y'all feeling about it?
I'm feeling good that the Spurs are back in the winning column, and that we made it through with Wemby through this entire game. That was a victory. So to our upcoming schedule and hoping we rattle off some wins. But yeah, I think there's only one thing left to say.
And that is
Go
Spurs again.